Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this beautiful, glorious day of May 1st. I can't believe it's May already. Where is the time going? But that means spring and my favorite time of year, summer. Oh, I'm so happy that this weather is moving more towards sunshine and warmer weather because I love being outside. Well, today I want to talk about the power of asking for help. This is something that I've learned to do over time, and even today, sometimes it's a little bit like I'm not quite sure how to do it, but thankfully, I have a wonderful community around me, support system, and I know who I can turn to. But there was a time in my life where I just felt so alone and isolated, and like I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know what I didn't know. I just knew that I was hurting. I knew that I wanted the pain to stop. I knew that I just was feeling so overwhelmed and stuck and scared and just the feeling. I couldn't put a name to the feelings very well back then because I was very out of touch with my emotions. Looking back now, I know that I was full of anxiety. I was stressed out. I was just unsatisfied with life, not content. And have you ever been there, where you've just maybe sitting down one day and you just have this deep feeling of just sadness and just things are just not the way that you want them to be? And what the heck am I supposed to do? And not knowing who you can talk to, not knowing who you can turn to. And I remember at that time too, it was when I was struggling financially and I was supposed to have it all together. People looking at me like, "Oh, she's got it. She's got it made. She's got it all together. Leah's got it handled," because I learned from a very young age to have that, to have the presence of perfection. I had to act like everything was okay when everything was not okay. I was literally taught that in the home that I grew up in, and that's how I walked around in the world, and I didn't know how to ask for help because I always had to act like I had it all together. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong at all. I'm fine. I'm great. No, that couldn't have been further from the truth. And like I mentioned earlier today, I don't experience life that way. Today, I know that I can reach out to some amazing women in my life. I know that I can talk to my therapist. I know that I can reach out to my prayer circle. I know that I can turn to myself, most importantly, and be able to identify and say, you know what, I need some help here. So there is that myth, right, of the one that I was just talking about, where the one who made it. I'm the strong one. And I'm the one that fixes things. I just had a conversation recently with somebody who was saying that in their family, they're the one that fixes things. And they're the ones that got to show up. And I was listening to a podcast and I couldn't sleep last night. And she was talking about when her mother was not doing well and was on her way of moving into the ancestral realm, that she was just showing up for her family as the strong one, the one who can take care of everything, running her business. And then it was 2 weeks later when she fell apart after her mom had passed. And so I just really related to what she was saying because we've been taught to carry it all. And asking for help can be perceived as a weakness. And also, actually, the conversation I had yesterday with the young lady, she said, was we both are in agreement about if we go to some family members. For me, it's my mom. I love my mom, but um, I just know that she can't handle some of the stuff that I'm carrying. And when I am somebody, and this young woman I spoke to yesterday, she agreed that we're the ones that are always fixing it. When we go to our family saying like I need help, they just kind of respond like, "What do I do? What are we supposed to do? You're the one that handles everything. You're the one. You're the one that I come to." So I've learned over time who I can go to and who I can't go to. But that's what I was talking about, that, that's where that instilled sense of weakness could come from, if that's your experience. I know it's been my experience. But when we ask for help or when we reach out to for that support, it's really a radical act of self trust and courage because you're trusting the fact that you're yourself by reaching out. right? By even doing that act, you're showing an awareness and a level of self-trust and courage by even doing that. And when we do have that ability to be in a safe and supportive environment, that's even more important. So having that affirming space where you know by where you know when you're showing up and when you're sharing yourself and when you're asking for that help or guidance or direction, that you're going to be met with loving kindness and compassion. And we know that that's happening because we as human beings, we feel out a room. We know when we walk into a room when we're being judged. We know when we're in a space when someone is not looking at us with that acceptance and compassion. We sense it. So that's the most important thing too, is when you're in those spaces or in that conversation and when you're wanting to open up, be very aware of what the experience is like for you. And when we're fully seen, when we are heard, and when we're able to be just a human being, that is a beautiful thing. And when we're able to have those conversations, especially ones about money, in a place where we can experience that, that just reduces so much shame and judgment that we can have, that self-criticism. I decided I'm gonna name my voice that is critical. Her name is Bernice. I don't know where Bernice came from, but Bernice is my inner critic now. And so when Bernice shows up, I gotta tell her to step on out. Go away. Bernice, you gotta go. It's gonna take practice. I just named her this week. And so there may be a few reasons why we don't ask for help, right? There's that. Another thing could be when we don't ask for help is maybe there's a fear of not knowing what will happen, that uncertainty, right? That, am I, a lot of times too, like when those emotions are so big, there's that level of fear of facing them. But I want to remind you, we're not actually going to die from the emotions that we're experiencing. It's an experience. And there's the ability to recognize that the emotions that we're feeling is a signal. That's all that it is, like embracing and loving all of the emotions that we feel and accepting them for what they are is our just our human nature. So when that fear comes through or when that discomfort is there or that anxiety or the overwhelm or just the panic, okay, as much as you can to just acknowledge it, just naming it, panic. Don't have to say, I'm feeling panicked right now, or I am panicked right now, especially that one, because that is owning that, claiming that, and identifying with it. But if you just, even just saying panic, that does something right there. And when we're able to start to do that, then we're the ability of being able to have these conversations about our financial situation, about things, mistakes that we've made that just don't feel good, right? When we're able to name those emotions and we're able to have those conversations. Another reason why someone may not want to ask for help is it may feel like a burden. I've experienced that where I have wonderful, like I've said, community of sisters, and sometimes I just don't want to ask out for help because I know that they're going through something too. And I know that they have a lot on their plate. I know that they're working out there in the world, doing the beautiful, amazing things that they're being called to do, and I just don't wanna be a burden. And I've actually just stopped, allowing myself to really go down that path and feel that. So if you because I'm not a burden. I'm not. Okay, I will admit there was a time in my life where I was a pain in the you know what because my way of asking for help was so dysfunctional and unhealthy. Back before I got sober, my way of asking for help was there's that phrase diarrhea of the mouth. That was me. I My way of asking for help was just like, "Bleh," I would just spill out to somebody. Oh, I feel so bad for some of the people that I was close to back then, where every time I talked to them, it was just one horrible thing after the other. It was just constant chaos, and I just kept I that was me though. I was just trying to ask for help, but I didn't know how. And then I was did become a burden, and I know that some people started to be like, "I don't wanna be around this crazy one." And it's okay. I was acting crazy. I didn't know it at that time, but I completely recognize that now. So my point is, I know that I'm not a burden. And if you don't have that symptom of diarrhea of the mouth where you're going to everybody and telling everybody your business because that's your way of trying to process things, you're definitely not a burden for somebody who is wanting to be there for you. So just try to be curious, reach out, connect. And one of the greatest things too to do that, a really easy way, if you're able to, is I've talked about this a lot, is just join a community. And it doesn't even have to be money related. It could be something where it has to do with your health. It could be a spiritual community. It could be a hiking community. It could be your community at the gym, people you start bonding with and hanging out with. Or the biggest thing too that is so helpful is finding a community of individuals that are living a life that you desire and you want for yourself. That there's something about them that they have that you want. What is that thing? Be curious about it. Show up. See what's available. Have those conversations. Get to know people, and ask the question: How did you do it? You know, early on for me, when I've talked about this before. I don't know on LinkedIn Live, but I've definitely am very open about me being sober. And one of the most influential communities for me on my healing journey right in the beginning when I stopped drinking is when I joined AA, because I was in a group of women. I tend to go to the women only meetings, and they loved me when I couldn't love myself. They held me up when I couldn't hold myself up. I was around women who were living a life free from alcohol, which was mind blowing to me. I didn't even know that was a thing. How is this possible? I didn't think it was possible for me because it was such a big part of my life. And they were just happy, joyful, showing up even through the difficult times in life and just being brave and navigating these circumstances that they were still dealing with as a result of some of the consequences of behavior from drinking. And then there were women that had been sober for 30 plus years. Wow, right? And so I would listen to them. And so I invite you to consider when you're around these group of people, if you're able to find that community and you don't want to put yourself out there, which is totally fine, listen. And when you're listening to other people and when they're sharing and when you're asking questions, or pay attention to what resonates with you, because we may not have the same complete belief system as everybody, but there are things that they will say or do that are meaningful, that will mean something to you. And you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm learning from that. That makes complete sense. So I invite you to find your community, like I said, get around those people. And the other thing is, really important step when it comes to asking for help. Sometimes that help comes to you, and it comes to you in the way of somebody saying, hey, I want to learn about you. I'm here. I'm here. I want to support you. They reach out. It could even be here on LinkedIn. I've had some amazing conversations with women that I've met here on LinkedIn. I just wonderful conversations. I'm reaching out. I'm saying, hey, I want to learn about you. This is what I do. I love supporting women of color and all the amazing, beautiful, wonderful things that you're doing in the world. And I just want to know if there's a way to support you. And I genuinely mean it. And out of some of those conversations, I've just been like so touched and moved. And when somebody shows up, and again, like back when I said earlier about being in a space that is affirming, and you'll know energetically when you're in the vicinity of somebody who is not judging or shaming you, and it's just feels right and safe. um, my point is when they show up and they're offering their support and they want to hear about you, and if something comes up, that's when you can just basically accept. When they're saying, hey, is there anything I can support you with? An acceptance of yes. And that may be coming in the form of, would love to just stay in touch so I can learn from you. Again, one of the conversations that I had yesterday, I spoke with a young woman that I met on LinkedIn, and I just showed up being myself. I just really genuinely wanted to connect with her, and our conversation was so deep and meaningful. And at one point, she cried because I had asked her a question, and the question was, "When have you taken any time to rest?" That was all the question that I asked, because I sensed that she'd been going through a lot, and the tears came from her because it was shortly after she said her shoulders had dropped and she felt relaxed. And then the emotions came up. And I recognized that, was like, well, that's you releasing it, and you're releasing it because you're in a safe space. So I offered my support to her and she said yes. So we exchanged phone numbers and I told her, and I gave her the example of, about talking about what I'm talking about today. I said, hey, I'm doing a LinkedIn Live tomorrow on this very topic about asking for help and being in community. And I gave her my phone number because I want to stay in touch with her, because it would have been so meaningful for me if in my 20s or even my 30s, if I had a woman who looked like me, who walked a similar path as me, somebody that I could look up to, reached out to me. I didn't have that. So I'm doing everything I possibly can to create that for as many women as possible that I can and that I have the capacity for. I cannot give out my phone number to thousands and thousands of women, but point being, um, when the support is being offered and when you feel comfortable, say yes. Even if it's just a small little, sure, let's have another conversation. Even if you don't have a moment like I had yesterday with the young woman, then we were in our conversation, even if it's not like that, just develop that, create your community, your tribe, that because when we ask for help, again, that's showing up for ourselves, that's trusting ourselves, that's being courageous. And I've talked about this before. Courage is the starting point for transformation. And when we ask for help, that's basically being able to let go of so much that we've been carrying. And it's okay. We cannot do everything all on our own. As much as we'd like to feel like we could, I'm sorry, girlfriend, but you're going to break down and burn out. And it's okay when that happens too. You can ask for help then. So I hope all of this was helpful for you. It is so powerful to ask for help. It is so powerful to receive that help, even more than asking for it. So I invite you to think about who it is or what it is that you can do moving forward, to be able to put yourself in a situation where you are able to ask for that help and receive it and see what happens. I promise you, when you do this over and over again with the right people, everything starts to fall together. You begin to feel that your cup is beginning to be filled. And if you're a woman out there who is purpose driven, who is here to make an impact in the world, bringing your gifts and your talents and your abilities to the world, we have got to, we have got to feel up and take care of ourselves and really, really focus on that. Because how are we going to be able to help other people that we're being called to serve if we are not taking care of ourselves? We got to be able to replenish so we can continue giving. And it's a lifelong journey. And I've found over the years, the more that I'm giving, the more that I'm putting out there, the more that I must put into and pour into myself. So my self-care, my asking for help, it is pretty significant. So I want you to really do just take that into consideration. And I hope all of this was helpful. I will see you next week. Have a beautiful and blessed day.